In what has become the series finale since the episode aired, Ruby's arc comes to an end, and we meet some women who have come for revenge and are part of the episode's full-on closure. So, getting to the guest. The ladies, Sue, Jenna, and Brooklyn, all decide they want to go after Gavin, who is Brooklyn's current husband, Sue and Jenna's ex-husband. Now, the reason why these women have joined together is because Gavin is a womanizer, master gaslighter, and they just want him to feel the pain that they have felt throughout various times in their relationship with him. Sue, the first wife, wants him to feel her pain because she was married to him at a very young and vulnerable point in her life, and she hasn't really broken away from his hold. Jenna is Gavin's former business partner on top of being his former wife, and when they divorced, while he paid her out, at the same time he broke her in a way because, like with Sue, he cheated on her and made her feel less than, even though she's accomplished so much. Brooklyn's issue is that her dad clocked Gavin being a bad dude for her, and yet she sided with him, and unfortunately her dad died before she kind of came to and was able to realize that, Dad, you were right. So with that in mind, all the ladies start off with first getting a voodoo doll from Elena and just using it to poke at him, trip him, and then things get a bit more serious when they try to burn him and even waterboard him. However, as they kind of approach that area where they're damn near going to kill him, Elena steps in and she forces the woman to actually talk their feelings, and she has Gavin strapped down with thorns in order for him to hear them, and eventually he's forced to also feel what they went through. And it seems by the end of this, at best he's changed his mindset, or maybe at worst he now has a strong deterrent to not be the man that he has long been in his life. For the second topic, it's all about MJ, who is Ruby's only daughter, and how Elena is trying to use her in order to break through to Ruby. It's a bit difficult at first because naturally MJ comes to the island, is told not only is her mother alive, but now her mother's kind of somewhere around 25 years old in terms of how she looks, and then there's a mermaid that's trying to take her with her, and it's a lot to process. But as MJ meets Ruby, it clicks, and so she kind of has the dual purpose of both getting closure from the kind of rocky relationship she had with Ruby when Ruby had her first lifetime, while also trying to help Elena in the pursuit of saving her. This is very hard for MJ because the relationship she had with her mom was at the point where she felt like she wasn't necessarily liked by her mom, yet with Javier kind of giving her the extra boost about talking about how she might have been the stubborn one, but Ruby was very proud of that. That kind of gives her the kick she needs to really push back as Isla really tries to reel Ruby in and take her with her off into wherever mermaids go. But ultimately, in regards to the third topic, Isla fails. MJ is able to get Ruby to push away Isla, confront her about everything that she's done thus far, including asking if she really loved her. And the way Isla puts it, she did have some kind of feelings for her, but at the same time it's still kind of hard to know whether or not she was preying on Ruby, especially after Ruby threw her wedding ring into the ocean. But as a peace offering, Isla gives back the ring to Ruby, and while Ruby puts it on for a little bit, there's still a recognition that this ring represents her past and she's trying to walk fully in herself in the future. So as MJ leaves, she gives her wedding ring to MJ and also letters for MJ's two brothers. And with that comes the end of the major part of Ruby's arc. And with that ending comes the beginning of a major party. One in which Elena throws for Ruby, but low-key's also for herself for defeating the mermaids. And at this party, Helene shows up, and we wrap up the Elena and Javier storyline with them getting back together, so it seems. Now, do we get any type of closure regarding Elena's cousin and what Segundo's hiding? Absolutely not. And with this series being canceled, that's gonna be just something that goes unresolved. In terms of the review portion, what we appreciate is that even if the show didn't get to resolve the whole cousin behind the door storyline, at the very least it allowed Ruby's storyline to complete. And I appreciate it because Ruby's storyline was so well crafted in terms of the beginning and middle and end. We have this grown woman who got a chance to be young, 25-ish, and pretty much get to restart her life. And when it came to the whole Isla situation, you can kind of understand why it brought about a lot of complicated feelings for Ruby. On one hand, there's all the memories of Mel, her 3 children, the people on Fantasy Island who knew her both when she was an old woman and now, and in many ways they helped guide her toward a new life. But with Isla, it's a full-on clean slate. She doesn't have to worry about people knowing her past, or even her own person knowing her past. She can fully be this new young woman and explore everything that life has to offer. And granted, it's a little bit unknown when it comes to being with Isla. What does that mean? Like, is she going to be able to walk on land again? Is she going to be stuck with Isla forever in time? Who knows, but you can't discount that this has all been an adventure, and in many ways being stuck on an island kind of limits the scope of what she can experience. Never mind, there's so many rules and complications that could be there regarding, is she going to be alive as long as Elena's alive? Is she permanently something of the island? It's hard to say, but at least with Isla, she would get, freedom. And then when you add in the whole MJ situation, again, there's this conflict between the woman that she was with MJ and how MJ sees her back then to who she's trying to be now, and trying to reconcile all that. And yes, MJ doesn't remember the new Ruby at all, but now we've just added a new piece of the puzzle when it comes to, not even a piece of the puzzle, probably added more weight to Ruby's decision in terms of she's reconciled with her kid, yet she can't continue to explore what the relationship can be because she's stuck on this island. And once MJ leaves the island, she forgets everything. And yes, MJ may feel better about it, but with knowing that MJ felt this way about her as a mother, imagine what the boys felt. And who knows if they may ever, unless Elena has a reason to, get to have this one-on-one, or even both of them at once, be able to talk to her and her be able to give them the type of closure directly rather than through a letter. It's a lot, but I feel like of what we was able to get, it was more than enough to handle and satisfy what Ruby was going through. Paired with that highlight, unfortunately, I have to give an on the fence label when it comes to the guests, and that's just because their storyline with getting revenge in a very comical way and then getting serious about actually getting closure when it comes to their husband, paired with what Ruby was going through, it was just ill. It was a very terrible match. And I would even say, to a certain degree, it kind of took away from what Ruby was going through, because I wouldn't say what the ladies went through was necessarily comic relief, but the tone was so different that it siphoned away from the impact of Ruby's story getting its just conclusion. Overall, while it is unfortunate that we won't get any answers regarding Elena's cousin, at the very least, Ruby's storyline came to a satisfying conclusion, and for those who were interested in Javier and Elena, they ended up together in the end. So while originally it seemed to be a season finale, it also works well for a series finale.